Hello, everybody. Good day, and welcome to Mastermind number 88. Welcome to those who are just joining us. My name is Hanif Brown, and today we have the pleasure of, it's Mastermind number 88. Interesting number. Welcome to those of you who are joining us, watching the recording, joining live. We just finished the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's the second book we've done as a part of our Mastermind. The first was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The second was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. And the third is The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz. Now, each of these books it is that I try to go through, and we go through together. Are each of them are books it is that I've personally myself read, gone through, and applied to my life, and apply to my life every single day. So books are power. And one of my mentors frequently said to me, leaders are always readers. And so this book was chosen for a particular reason. I read books only recommended to me by mentors that collapses time frames for the goals it is that I'm looking at achieving, whatever that may be. And so it talks about really, exactly, thinking bigger in so many different situations. I think Ben Carson wrote a book in the past. I read it when I was younger. He was a neurosurgeon, and it was Think Big. And I remember my mom got that book for me, and it really did change my life. So to be reintroduced to this book later on now, having different goals, a different person, it's pretty interesting. So let's jump right into it for Mastermind number 88. No real estate today, no crypto, just some personal development, personal growth with the magic of thinking big. So it starts. For David III, our 6-year-old son, David, felt mighty big when he was graduated from kindergarten. I asked him what he plans to be when he finishes growing up. David looked at me intently for a moment and then answered, Dad, I want to be a professor. A professor? A professor of what? I asked. Well, Dad, I think I want to be a professor of happiness. A professor of happiness? That's pretty wonderful ambition, don't you think? To David, then a fine boy with a grand goal, and to his mother, this book is dedicated. Wonderful preface there. And so in the table of contents, let's just briefly go through it. It starts by talking about, what exactly will this book do for you? This book is not going to change your life by you reading it and doing nothing. What it will do is that it will help you to understand how exactly do you think bigger, and why exactly is there a magic in thinking bigger. And so it starts out in chapter 1 by talking about believing you can succeed, and you will. Second, cure yourself of excusitis, the failure disease. Number 3, build confidence and destroy fear. Number 4, how to think big. Number 5 talks about how to think and dream creatively. Number 6, you are what you think that you are. And number 7, managing your environment, going first class. Number 8, make your attitudes your allies. Think right toward people. Number 10, get the action habit. Number 11, how to turn defeat into victory. Number 12, use goals to help you grow. And finally, chapter 13, how to think like a leader. And we have the index, obviously, at the end, as various quotations are utilized throughout the book and references. So each of these looks like, what upper say people would consider these: believe you can succeed and you will, and cure yourself of excusitis, the failure disease. Many people look at it as that these cliche things people say, for people to achieve success. And, I realize that they're cliche for a reason. They're cliche because they work. Many people have said them over and over again. Many people say them, but how many people actually take action on them? And so that's something where it is that all of us were constantly going through that process and being teachable, being open to change and growing as we go throughout our life. So, this preface, why this big book? Why a full-scale discussion of the magic of thinking big? Thousands of books will be published this year. Why one more? Permit me to give you just a little background. Several years ago, I witnessed an exceptionally impressive sales meeting. The vice president in charge of marketing for this company was tremendously excited. He wanted to drive home a point. He had with him on the platform the leading representative in the organization, a very ordinary looking fellow who earned in the year ended just a little under $60,000. The earnings of other representatives averaged $12,000. The executive challenged the group. Here's what he said. I want you to take a good look at Harry. Look at him. Now, what's Harry got that the rest of you haven't? Harry earned 5 times the average, but is Harry 5 times smarter? No, not according to our personal tests. I checked. They show he's about average in that department. And did Harry work 5 times harder than you fellows? No, not according to the reports. In fact, he took more time off than most of you. Did Harry have a better territory? Again, I've got to say no. The accounts averaged about the same. Did Harry have more education? Better health? Again, no. Harry's about as average as an average guy could be, except for one thing. The difference between Harry and the rest of you, said the VP, the difference is that Harry thought 5 times bigger. Then the executive proceeded to show that success is determined not so much by the size of one's brain as it is by the size of one's thinking. This was an intriguing thought, and it stayed with me. The more I observed, the more people I talked with, the deeper I dug into what's really behind success. The clearer was the answer. Case history after case history proved that the size of bank accounts, the size of happiness accounts, and the size of one's general satisfaction account is dependent on the size of one's thinking. There is magic in thinking big. If thinking big accomplishes so much, why doesn't everyone think that way? I've been asked that question many times. Here, I believe, is the answer. All of us, more than we recognize, are products of thinking around us. And much of this thinking is little, not big. All around you is an environment that's trying to tug you, trying to pull you down second class street. You are told almost daily that there are too many chiefs and not enough Indians. In other words, that opportunities lead opportunity that wait. In other words, that opportunities to lead no longer exist. That there's a surplus of chiefs, so be content to be a little guy. But this too many chiefs idea simply doesn't square with the truth. Leading people in all occupations will tell you, as they've told me, that the trouble is there are too many Indians and not nearly enough chiefs. This petty environment says other things too. It tells you whatever will be, that your destiny is outside your control, that fate is in complete control. So forget those dreams. Forget that finer hope. Forget that special college for the children. Forget the better life. Be resigned. Lie down and wait to die. And who hasn't heard that statement that success isn't worth the price? As if you have to sell your soul, your family life, your conscience, your set of values to reach the top. But in truth, success doesn't demand a price. Every step forward pays a dividend. The environment also tells us there's too much competition for the top spots in life. But is there? A personal selection executive told me that he received 50 to 250 times as many applicants for jobs that pay $10,000 per year as for jobs that pay $50,000 a year. This is to say that there is at least 50 times as much competition for jobs on second class street as for jobs on first class avenue. First class avenue, USA, is a short, uncrowded street. There are countless vacancies waiting there for people like you who dare to think big. The basic principles and concepts supporting the magic of thinking big come from the highest pedigree sources, the very finest and biggest thinking minds yet to live on planet Earth. Minds like the prophet David, who wrote, As one thinketh in his heart, so is he. Minds such as Emerson, who said, Great men are those who see that thoughts rule the world. Minds like Milton, who in Paradise Lost wrote, The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven. Amazingly perceptive minds like Shakespeare, who observed, There is nothing either good or bad except that thinking makes it so. But where does the proof come from? How do we know the master thinkers were right? Fair questions. The proof comes from the lives of the select people around us who, through winning success, achievement, and happiness, prove that thinking big does work magic. The simple steps we have set down here are not untested theories. They're not one's guesses and opinions. They are proven approaches to life situations, and they are universally applicable steps that work and work like magic. That you're reading this page proves you're interested in larger success. You want to fulfill your desires. You want to enjoy a fine standard of living. You want this life to deliver you all the good things you deserve. Being interested in success is a wonderful quality. You have another admirable quality. The fact that you're holding this book in your hands shows you have the intelligence to look for tools that will help you take you where you want to go. In building anything, automobiles, bridges, missiles, we need tools. Many people, in their attempt to build a successful life, forget there are tools to help them. You haven't forgotten. You have, then, the two basic qualities needed to realize real profit from this book: a desire for greater success and the intelligence to select a tool to help you realize that desire. Think big and you live big. You live big in happiness. You live big in accomplishment, big in income, big in friends, big in respect. Enough for the promise. Start now, right now, to discover how to make your thinking make magic for you. Start out with this thought of the great philosopher Disraeli: life is too short to be little. Then it goes into the next part as to what exactly this book is going to do for you. And do we continue or do we pause there? Actually, let's pause there for now. Let's pause there for now. So, and this is just the preface it is that we've gone over here so far, people. So, and the author starts out by talking about that there are thousands of books that are really going to be published this year, right? Then he gave a background in a meeting with where the vice president was meeting all these sales executives. Most of them, well, all of them except one, earned roughly $12,000 for the year. But there was this one guy who he made $60,000 that year, and that was Harry. And he used the example of Harry to talk about, well, why did Harry really earn so much? And he told him, take a good look at this guy. He's not smarter. He didn't work harder. Actually, as a matter of fact, he took more time off. He's not special. He just thought bigger than everybody else. And that's why his income is 5 times that of the rest of you. And so it's an intriguing concept that what really made that difference, it wasn't because of his brains, looks, it wasn't because he worked harder. He just thought bigger. The difference between Harry and you and the rest of you, said the VP, is that Harry thought 5 times bigger. Then the executive proceeded to show that success is determined not so much by the size of one's brain as it is by the size of one's thinking. With our thoughts, we make our life. And even Kiyosaki talks about this in the end of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And this was an intriguing thought, the author says. The more he observed, the more people he talked with, the deeper he dug, the clearer the answer became that the size of one's bank account, the size of one's happiness, the size of one's general satisfaction is dependent on the size of one's thinking. There is magic in thinking big, just in thinking bigger. Oh, well, I can only have this. How about I can have this and I can have this? And that's really what it comes down to, a basic thing. How you do one thing is how you'll do everything. And he talks about, he's been asked this question, many times, and that it's a situation where people think there, too many followers, or are there too many leaders? And the truth came out that there are actually too little leaders and too many followers. It's crowded at the bottom, as one would say. Then the example was used as to, second class jobs and first class jobs. First class jobs that paid a certain amount, $50,000 for the year, and the second class jobs that paid $10,000 per year. And it showed that there were how many, like 50 times as many applicants for the $10,000 per year jobs as for the $50,000 per year jobs, not settling for a certain kind of work, not settling for that thing because you think that you can't, but actually thinking big and saying, I can do this instead of doing this. I must not be resigned to this thing. I must not be resigned to one, but instead, let me 10x that. Grant Cardone is big on that. If you don't know who Grant Cardone is, then just Google him and then you'll see a whole lot of different things there come up. And so, the basic principles and concepts supporting the magic of thinking big come from the highest pedigree sources, the very finest and biggest thinkers, thinking minds yet to live on planet Earth, such as David, who wrote many books in the Bible, such as Shakespeare, such as Milton, who in Paradise Lost wrote, "The mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven or a hell of heaven." And so we see here where there's this focus on the mind, everything that's in your physical existence right now is a product of something or thoughts that really started out in your mind. So we see how powerful the mind is there that the author talks about, and that there is, again, that's why the book is called not the magic of working harder, the magic of just simply thinking bigger. Note, the first book we went through is Think and Grow Rich. This book is called The Magic of Thinking Big. You see the common thing there that we're talking about, in that it's a matter of our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make our life. One of my mentors said to me before, the product of everything that is in your physical existence of your life right now, it existed before in your thoughts. With your thoughts, we make our lives. You become what you think about most of the time. So just like Harry, you can earn $60,000 for the year as opposed to earning only $10,000 for the year, like all the other sales executives. So in the next part, we'll talk about what exactly this book gonna do for you. Is it really gonna do magic for you? I mean, it says it in the title that it's the magic of thinking big. So there really should be some magical stuff that's about this. Think big, and you will live big. You live big in happiness, live big in accomplishment, big in income, big in friends, big in respect. And if you're content with where it is that you are and you've already had all the desires of your heart, that's great. Maybe you've already been thinking big. But if it's a case where it is that you have some things that you've wanted and you feel that hunger, you feel that you want more, then maybe this book will help you to think a little bit bigger. You'll see incremental changes in, maybe you want new friends, maybe you want more income, maybe you want to have a bigger sense of accomplishment, maybe you want to feel happier, maybe you want more respect, whatever it is that you're looking for. A lot of it, the author talks about how it can be achieved by just thinking bigger. And again, like Disraeli said, the philosopher, life is too short to be little. So we'll pause there for now. No real estate, no crypto today. Just meditate upon these words in terms of the magic of thinking big. You can find a free copy online. Go through it, start, and I really hope you enjoyed Rich Dad Poor Dad. Hope you enjoyed Think and Grow Rich. They're all free resources online. And if you've had a spectacular experience, then feel free to reach out to me. It makes me feel really good, the fact that people go ahead and they read the books, they take action, and maybe you have a small win, right? Seen many small wins from people in the past, and I look forward to seeing many small wins from people as it is that we move forward. So peace and love, everybody, and let me go stop there, and take care. Well, good, and see you again next week.